Cybersecurity, data protection, cybersecurity for everyone. Today we're going to discuss data protection, the tech requirements. We're going to understand frameworks, discuss the protection of confidentiality, integrity, and availability of corporate data using the CIA triad. We will explain how organizations use it. We will also look at information security frameworks like NIST and also ISO. Every organization should have a framework to be implemented to effectively protect their operations. Now, NIST is a physical sciences laboratory and non regulatory agency of the United States of Commerce. NIST was founded in 1901 as a non regulatory federal agency with a mission to develop and promote measurement standards and technology to enhance productivity and facilitate trade and improve the quality of life. The NIST framework has published more than 300 information security related documents, including the Federal Information. The NIST framework encourages innovation by enhancing standards and technology with methods that improve economic security of not only the business but also the country. And the framework focuses on using business drivers to influence cybersecurity activities. Originally, the NIST framework was developed to enhance cybersecurity risk management. Now, ISO, on the other hand, is part of a network of national standard institutes of 146 countries. It is also a non governmental organization that has developed more than 1,300 international standards. ISO 27002 2013 is the code of practice, which is a comprehensive set of information security recommendations. Confidentiality is part of the CIA triad. Integrity, another aspect. Availability, a crucial part. So let's look at the CIA triad. The triad stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. An attack against either or several of the elements of the CIA triad is an attack against the information security of the organization. Now, not all data that's owned by the company should be made available to the public. Failing to protect data confidentiality can be disastrous for an organization. Dissemination of protected health information, for example, could be considered a serious breach. So, C's for confidentiality, and the threats to confidentiality must be identified and could include hackers. Identifying threats is important, but so is the reason why the company is vulnerable to those threats. A risk assessment should be conducted prior to the organization implementing the framework. Protecting data integrity means protecting data from being tampered with by an unauthorized source. Threats to data integrity include hackers, unauthorized user activity, improper access control, and malicious code. Controls that can be deployed to protect data integrity include technical controls or behavioral controls, like rotation of duties and end user security training. Availability is the assurance that the data is accessible when it's needed by authorized users. What is the cost of the loss of the data to the organization? That's an important point. So, threats to data availability can include loss of processing abilities due to natural disaster, loss of processing abilities due to hardware failure, loss of power. Now, which is more important to protect? Confidentiality, integrity, or availability? There's no fixed answer. It depends on the information and the process at hand. Organizations need to define and rate the business processes and what it's trying to protect. How do we allocate resources to protect the data? All of these are part of your risk assessment. The impact of an attack is another aspect that we have to take into consideration. There are also the 5 A's of information security, which are accountability. Accountability, where all actions should be traceable to the person who committed them. Logs are always important. Where are they kept? Where are they archived? What about assurance? Security measures need to be designed and tested to ascertain that they are efficient and appropriate. Authentication. Authentication is a cornerstone of most network security models. It is the positive identification of the person or system seeking access. Authorization, which is the act of granting users or systems actual access to the information resources. And accounting, defined as the logging of access and usage of resources. And it keeps track of access to what resource, who has access. Now, data classification is required when creating a risk assessment, as not all information features are the same. Each company can customize their own data classification model. Confidential data is data that should not be shared with the public and not to be shared with all employees. Sensitive data is not to be shared with the public and it's available on a need to know basis. Public data can be shared with the public. Disclosure of this data would not bring harm to the organization. Information ownership is a case where many are confused as to who the owner of the information is, which can endanger the confidentiality of this information. We must clearly define who has ownership of the data. IT plays a big role in this. A framework of information security recommendations applicable to public and private organizations of all sizes is important for every organization. That goes back to the ISO framework, NIST, COBIT. So ISO 17799, BS 7799, started as a British document in 1989 and was proposed as an international standard after 2 revisions in 1997 and 1999. When we're looking at domains, we have the security policy domain, which focuses on providing direction and support for the information security program. It looks at policies and how they are established. We have the organizational security domain, which focuses on establishing and supporting a management framework to implement and manage information security within, across, and outside of the organization. The asset classification and control domain, which is created to establish an accurate inventory of all information security assets. The personnel security domain, which looks at how organizations need to control security in the hiring, employing, termination, onboarding, offboarding of employees, personnel screening. The physical and environmental security domain focuses on designing and maintaining a secure physical environment to protect the company from unauthorized access. The communications and operations management domain focuses on secure operation of information processing facilities. And the access control domain, the goal is to prevent unauthorized access to information systems. The system development and maintenance domain, that's where security should be defined at the genesis of the product development cycle. The business continuity domain focuses on business critical processes which must be protected from the effect of a disaster. And the compliance domain where all organizations must comply with regulations at different levels, such as local, national, and international laws, criminal and civil laws. This has been Lessons in Cybersecurity from Cybersecurity for Everyone. Please click and like and share with your friends. I'm Chris Nelson.